Hello everyone, it's been a while since I've done one of these, and hell, actually, it's the last time I did this was last year. So, I mean, there's that. But jokes aside, hello. Welcome to another Dev Diary. I'm David, the person in the title, the developer, and this is my diary. And yeah, it has been a while. Let me address that. It's with the holidays around, you think you get time, and then you suddenly find out that everything in the universe kind of gets in that, and you never have time anymore to do these sorts of things. So I put out that community post saying, yeah, I got more time for content, woo. And I actually was working on stuff, but I could never actually sit down and make a video about it. So hopefully all that stuff that I've been collecting can actually make some videos and like showcase it a little bit, because it's some cool stuff. I think people will enjoy it. But that's not what we're here for. I mean, we're kind of here for that, but we're here for the title of it, the Dark Messiah part. We want to know what's been going on. And if you've been following on Twitter, you've probably seen that I have been working on it. I've been jumping in and out based on things from the alpha playthrough videos, the whole gameplay session, which really I haven't even posted all those videos either, because we got until, we actually got onto chapter 5, and I didn't even get that far to actually get the videos published. But it was a big learning experience, and there's a lot of stuff that I was able to figure out that needed to be fixed. So I'm just going to give like a general overview and then sort of walk through the steps of what I want to do next. For starters, I worked on some small things. We had boxes breaking, you had the little shatters and all that stuff, which was actually because physics for debris was disabled, I think, in multiplayer. It was actually a console command, and then also something needs to be enabled. It was actually pretty simple to fix, so that was nice. I added support for ragdolls thanks to, well, actually, I don't even think I spoke about Alex in one of these yet. Yes, so assisting me in developing the SDK is Alex. He is known as Sacred AI in the Discord, and even on Knockout when we're doing the posts. Or, well, I think he's known as just Sacred on Knockout. But either way, he's going to be assisting in making the SDK. Now he's gotten a lot more experience, but when I first picked him up, he didn't really know what he was doing with the SDK too much, or reverse engineering wise and all sorts of things, but I've been guiding him, I've been teaching him everything. He's a fast learner. He managed to pick it up, and he's just breezing through this thing, blasting off. Like, we've got the entirety of the player in terms of the virtual functions and the properties set up, which means that we can actually start manipulating some of the stuff there in a more reliable manner, because we actually have these structures built. But we've also pushed a bit into the NPC territory with the base combat character, and even now I've asked him to start looking into weapons, because I want to actually try applying the SDK, and I feel like weapons would be really fun to look at and also very simple to do. So he's been looking into that as well. And also just helping out with things that when I'm like, hey, I'm currently stuck on this and I've been looking for stuff like that. And then he looks in the SDK and like, oh, here's this function, here's that function, and it all works out. So, that's just great. I appreciate him being there. He's been a major help, and really just, it's always nice to have A, somebody to offload some of that pressure, but even B, somebody to talk back and forth with, because again, I'm going to get back to something later on that is more recent that we were working on, and that I was able to implement in a nice way. But yeah, it's just great. So if you don't already know, yeah, he's part of the team, and with his help, we're able to get some stuff in. We had the ragdolls that I mentioned. When you die now, you don't just disappear, as with the other videos. You actually do create a ragdoll and it reacts. Although there is some mannequin syndrome going on, where depending on how you die, the physics don't actually activate, or I guess the forces don't apply. And what ends up happening is you just kind of drop to the ground in a perfectly static state. Like a statue, a mannequin, a statue, that sort of thing. But easily fixed. It's literally just a variable on it. You'd probably have to detect the damage type or something and then just sort of pull back from there. But that's all good. Now, what else did I do? Well, we have the big ballista fixes, which is something I was pretty excited to have figured out. The ballistas in Dark Messiah, you know, they're only meant for one person. What I originally thought is that these things were vehicles, because that's kind of how they behave. They sort of take your camera into a certain view. They feel like you're in something, even though the vehicle doesn't move. It is still technically a vehicle. It's less than a chair or something like that, or more than a chair, I guess. Yeah. Bear with the ramblings here. I mean, this is what I've been doing all video, so for this entire series. So this is just me getting back into it. So I hope you. I hope everybody can handle it, and if you can't handle it, then I apologize, really, but I gotta get back into this some way. In no way, just gotta push yourself through it. So with the ballistas, you know, it actually turns out that these things are turrets, which in Half-Life 2, when you see a turret, they're basically like, you have these mounted guns that the Combine use, and you get on them, and it doesn't actually manipulate your camera. All you do is sit, and wherever you point with your mouse is where the gun will go, and then shoot. That's it. And that is actually the basis class for our ballista, which in a way makes sense because it's a stationary gun, but at the same time, the way that the cameras maneuver and stuff like that, I was actually kind of surprised to see that. And the reason why it does those maneuverings is because there's actually 3 entities that are overlapped on top of each other. You got the actual turret, you've got the base, the legs, and then you've got like some camera logic thing that takes the player and puts everything in. And that's actually why those things broke in multiplayer, because the camera logic itself in single player never accounts for another player. Yes, it always does check for, you know, a fallback, like let's say if we don't have a person that's interacted with it, use the local player or something like that. But really, the stage for enabling this thing was always looking at nothing in this case, because it was looking at the base of the actual gun. The gun was telling the camera to turn on, and then because of that, the thing would never actually have a player and go back to the local player. So with some fun, you know, things, I was able to sort of weasel my way in, and now we have multiplayer ballistas, so you can actually, you know, I put the video on Twitter. You got a whole siege that you can hold off. You can have like rows of these things just blast a bunch of ghouls and orcs and stuff. It's, you know, it had a little test map to demonstrate, but it's a little fun just to see all the explosions go off and all the bodies flying. It's all good. So after that ballista stuff, you know, I sort of took a step back and I figured some things out that were annoying the hell out of me. I fixed items sort of being unreliably interactable in such a way that, like, if somebody across the map is looking at something and someone else is looking at this thing, then it's a dice roll or a coin toss who's gonna get what. You could press E and you may get the other guy's stuff. You may not even get the thing you're looking at. It could be either or. And that's because there's just a bunch of internal variables that were done for, I guess, performance sake, for caching, but they never actually like account for anything. Although functions can run multiple times for multiple players, that caching should be really held per player and not on a global scale, which is what it was doing. But, you know, single player, and who's gonna even think to do anything otherwise? So that was a nice thing to fix. And then finally, the little discussion that I had with Alex was, you know, this animation stuff, which I'm super proud of, because I'm big on animations. If you haven't seen the YouTube channel by now, then you probably haven't seen the fact that, you know, I have brought Super Mario 64 into Garry's Mod with the animations so that you can use it with any player model. You know, Smite, Blade Symphony, all sorts of stuff. You know, I got the Jedi Academy stuff on the way as well, you know, whenever that gets done. But all this stuff is just because I love animations. I love seeing these things in action. It's nice. It's like a cartoon almost. You can see the effort, and like you can feel cool with some of them. So these are sort of the things that I look at. But I worked on this animation system in Dark Messiah, which was very difficult to sort of engineer around, because basically, unlike the animation systems that I have for other things, I can't actually like make my own you know, variables in a stable way, because they'll always be global to the to the actual binary, which is a little bit dangerous for cleanup and desync and all sorts of things like that. You know, do I network some of these things? Do I not? Etc. Etc. So I had to use this thing called the combat move, which is basically an internal variable on players that say, what are we doing now? You know, they're numbers like 241, for example, 229, you know, your standard numbers. These things would be like charge attack in, hold, out, you know? So you would have each state essentially in there. And maneuvering around that was extremely difficult because there's like never a right time to call this thing, apparently. You know, sometimes I'm calling one thing in advance, then another thing is too late, and it's like, what is going on here? How do I actually get this reliably? And it ended up being a split between like 3 functions. You know, I had one work off the view model hands, because since I want to bring those animations off the hands onto the player model, so you're not just killing things with your mind. It would make sense to transcribe those things immediately when they get called on the hands. That ensures that it's synced up. But also simple things like, you know, if you want to have somebody holding a sword in a specific way, then you need to use the activities and sequences, which is its own thing. With, you know, it's just basically tells you what animation should I be playing now and should I be holding it and things like that. But that discussion, just to find the insertion point to get this whole thing started, took about 8 hours, because a lot of the DRM, secure ROM, actually obfuscated like just ridiculous things that our decompiler couldn't really figure out to recompile. But you know, it took some manual engineering, took some sitting down, you know, reconstructing it with the assembly, and then figuring out the entry exit points, all sorts of things. You know, all that technical mumbo jumbo, which I will probably make a post for eventually, because it is kind of cool how to play it out. But the animation system is coming well. It's going really well, and it actually started me to sort of look at, well, do I need animators? And absolutely I do. So I spoke with our very own Riddick. You know him from the alpha playthroughs. You know, he's the man with the much better voice than I have. And he is an animator. And he decided, yeah, you know what, David, I'm going to help you out. And he's going to be helping out with the animations that were missing for the players. You know, those special things. You know, swimming was one of the big ones that I asked for, because it's actually something that we found out in Chapter 4. We jumped in the water and we both vaporized, but when we got above, there was just nothing happening. It was really awkward. So that, you know, I'm hoping to get a little bit more videos and showcases and stuff like that from there. But that is sort of like the things I'm doing now. You know, all that stuff is fixed. We got an animation system pseudo working, so now we got to sit down and just finish up the other things that are broken, and then I can take breaks with the animation system, you know, just sort of to as a sanity check, or as just really sanity in general, just for me to be able to stop working on one thing. You know, I always said with the rope problem that when I actually stopped working on it, I would eventually find the solution a lot easier. And that's just, you know, it's sometimes you just gotta stop thinking about your problems for you to find the best way to solve them. It's a really dangerous mentality, but it tends to work for me, so I'm gonna go with that. You know, you know, it's not worth stressing yourself out. That's not a dangerous mentality. Don't stress yourself out over these things. You know, let it come naturally. Relax, take it easy, and everything will work out. That's sort of the way you gotta work it out. You know, do everything you can, but don't be angry if you can't do it. So that's pretty much what I'm going around here. You know, I'm hitting you with the old hippie mumbo jumbo, but it is a good thing to go with these sorts of things. It prevents you from giving up early, or hell, even just getting upset and taking it out on the wrong people. Because sometimes people can get really frustrated with these things. I know that sometimes I can get frustrated with problems, but I usually take it out of myself. So, you know, this is a good step. And so what we're going to do with the fixing side is I want to sort of tackle cinematics, because that's something that I really have wanted to fix. You know, there's a lot of cameras that were like, one player will be seeing this whole thing and another player's just walking around like an idiot. I like the idea, again, of people walking around and sort of having fun while a cutscene is playing, so like Half-Life 2. But at the same time, there are those mandatory fly cams that are still needed, those cinematics. the easiest one is the intro mission. You have the camera go with the crystal and all sorts of stuff like that. So absolutely on that front, we do in fact need some fixes there. And again, these things will come naturally as we play. We figure out more and more, and we fix those. But after the cutscenes, there's very little stuff that's completely broken. I fixed all the spells as well, so that they all work. They don't crash anymore. One of the big ones was lightning. It would always crash, and that's because the attachment point for the actual lightning to come out, it's expecting your hands, and that works fine when you're the person shooting it, but when somebody else is shooting it, your hands aren't exactly there. We had to remove that view model, as I said, to stop the forearm menace from happening, so those don't exist anymore. So that lightning has nothing to attach to, and it just goes kablooey. That's it. Kills your entire server, kills your game, and you go from there. But that was actually, worked around it, and now that with the animation things going, we can start syncing things up, and we can start choosing the attachment points right, just like I did with the weapons. But I think that's pretty good. It's a lot done in the last 2 months. And it's getting easier. That's all I can say. And I'm always hoping to get testing out. Every time I talk about testing, it's always like a real fearful thing, because at one time, is it ready? It's probably ready for closed testing. Absolutely. We were able to actually play through this whole thing. But at the same time, I can't fully talk about it, but there is some things, working around, the previous contacts that I've had with devs and, other people, I suppose. So it's really about finding the right moment and making sure everyone involved is sort of not going to feel betrayed or something like that. But know that I don't have any intent on just being like one of those people that are like showing off a project and then never going to release it. This will get released, even if I can't complete it. There's a reason why I'm documenting all these things. It's so that somebody else can pick it up. They can sort of see the mentality, they can catch up, they can complete something if it doesn't get completed. But this is more like a peace of mind thing. I'm not thinking about this in any way. There's no reason why I can't complete it, unless something terrible happens. But let's all hope that doesn't happen, for everyone's sake, including mine. Yeah, all right, so that's my status update. Just wanted to give it a casual whirl. It's pretty long dev diary, but obviously, I'm sort of rushing through things as I'm probably missed things that I've mentioned in Discord and stuff, which, now it's time to hit those shout outs. I've noticed everybody, I've noticed more subscribers coming in. I've noticed people commenting. I've noticed more people in the Discord, they're getting involved. I spoke about last time having that discussion about mapping, but even I can now actually sit down and like open up, like, hey, what do you guys like? How does this look? Whatever, I can actually get feedback in a very valuable and actionable way, but not even just feedback, but actually help. Because again, I don't know everything. I'm a programmer, and even then, I still don't know everything in the programming realm. It's important to have people to talk to and to get that extra opinion. So even I always say it, even if you're scared, you don't want to interact, you feel like you have nothing of value to input, which is nonsense. Everybody has something valuable. There's no stupid questions, and another perspective on anything in life is what actually makes you grow. That's how you get your third eye open, as they like to say. But by all means, please, come over to the Discord, hang out. Even if it's slow, feel free to drop a message in there, ask whatever's on your mind. With your heart's content, go for it. It's all good. Hit that video with the comments as well. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. If this is too rambling, if this is too undirected, who knows. And if you're not subscribed, obviously subscribe. I'd like to get to the point where I can start saying this as a joke, because I noticed that people who have a lot of subscribers get to joke about asking for people to subscribe. So it would be nice to start doing that. I probably would annoy people a lot less, but every little bit helps. We're about to hit that 1,000 milestone, which is really nice. I couldn't imagine have gotten up there, but we're doing it. So that's a big thumbs up, and I appreciate it a lot. So yeah, let's continue doing what we're doing. Let's continue the arrangement. I like having you on my side. Let's stay on the same side. And I don't mean that in a way that I'm threatening you, but I mean that you guys are gonna kill me a lot faster. So with that, we're gonna end the video. Again, thanks everybody. I will try to get another video out on time. If not, I'll put some content out that at least shows some of the stuff I was working on. Yeah, that'll be it. So thank you, and have a wonderful day, night, whatever it is. Just enjoy yourself. It's a new year. You just get to go in, get to pretend like nothing ever happened. That's what these people do with New Year's resolutions, and my New Year's resolutions is to make sure that you're aware that you should be having a good time and just having fun. Smile and enjoy life.